Hey class, this is the last lesson for this week, except for your extra credit quiz. This is a new chapter. This is chapter 11. It's on, the whole theme of it is rational functions. Today we're going to knock out 2 sections because I'm that good. Okay, so a rational expression is a ratio of 2 polynomial expressions. Basically, it's just like a fraction of 2 polynomial expressions, right? That's what a ratio is. So these are the steps. To simplify a rational expression, you factor everything that can be factored. You simplify the monomials, so use the exponent rules. And then you eliminate common binomial factors. Okay, so, I forgot. Right, so we're done with trig, right, and this is the chapter, like I said, is the one that you're expected to know to go into trig. So if, if you're struggling with chapter 9, that's fine, right, because chapter 9 will all be covered in trig. This is something that is not covered in trig, but you need to know for trig. Okay, but it's really fun, so I think you'll get it. Okay, so, this is just a monomial over a monomial, so there's nothing that can be factored, so we can skip step 1 and then go to step 2. Simplify the monomials using exponent rules. So as far as the numbers go, you just reduce the numbers. So like 20 and 14, they have a common factor of 2. So this can be 10 over 7. And then the x to the 6 over x squared, right, you just use subtraction, so that's 10 to the 4th. And then that's it. Okay, here we have a binomial over a binomial. All you need to check to see if you can factor anything, right? Factor everything that can be factored. So the top you can take out a 6, and then you get k minus 6. And the bottom you get k minus 6. So this is the fun part, right? Once you do that, number 3 is the fun part. Eliminate common binomial factors. So then you just, since you have k over 6, those cancel, and then you just get 6. Alright, so here we go. Next one, y plus 8, and then y squared plus 2y minus 48. The y plus 8, there's nothing that can be pulled out, so that just stays the same. And then you want to factor the bottom. Now, since there's nothing in front of the y squared, you can just do the quick factoring technique. So 2 numbers that multiply to negative 48 and add up to 2 are y plus 8 and y minus 6. So negative 6 and 8 multiplied to negative 48, and negative 6 and 8 add up to 2. And then, again, the fun part comes in. You just cancel whatever you can cancel. So y plus 8 and y plus 8. And then, since now there's nothing at the top, it's not 0, it's 1. And then it's 1 over y minus 6. And we're done. So if everything cancels on the numerator, it's 1. If anything cancels on the denominator, it's 1. Like technically this is 6 over 1, but you don't need to write the over 1s. You just need to write the 1 overs. Okay, so again, here we go. Factor anything that can be factored. Well, you always check for monomials first. So like the first one, you can pull out a 2, right? And then you get r squared minus r minus 20. And the bottom one, you can pull out an 8, and you get r plus 4. And then you can keep factoring the top, right? So r squared minus r minus 20. Since there's nothing from the r squared, you can do the quick factoring. Right, 2 numbers that multiply to negative 20 and add up to negative 1. R minus 5 and r plus 4. And the bottom stays the same. And then, again, the fun part. So just cross out anything that's the same. So you can cross those. And then 2 over 8 reduces to 1/4. You don't really need to write the 1 at the top because like anything times 1 is the same, so you just write the 4 on the bottom, and then r minus 5 is still there. And then you're done. Okay, here's the next one. So p squared minus 49, right, that factors to p plus 7, that's the difference of squares, and p minus 7. And then 7 minus p, So this is why it says watch out. So a minus b over b minus a is negative 1. And I'll show you why. Because a minus b minus a is the same thing as negative b plus a. Like you can factor out a negative 1. And then, then that's the same thing, like if you move it around, it's like an addition, right? Negative b plus a is the same thing as a minus b. And then those cancel, and you get 1 over negative 1, which is just negative 1. So if you ever have like opposites like this, like 3 minus 4 over 4 minus 3, right, that's negative 1. Or x minus 5 over 5 minus x, that's negative 1. So 7 minus p, so here you have, these are opposites, right, and so that becomes negative 1. So then it's negative 1 times p plus 7, because that's all that's left, right? The p minus 7 and the 7 minus p become negative 1. There you go. Alright, here we go. We can pull out a 3a, and then you get a squared minus 1. Here you can pull out a 6a squared, and then you get a plus 1. And then you can still factor more, right? A squared minus 1 is a difference of squares, so that's a plus 1 and a minus 1. Okay, so that we did step 1, factor everything that can be factored. And then you simplify the monomials, so you need to simplify the 3a over 6a squared, right? The 3 over a reduces to 1, 3 over 6 reduces to 1/2, so you don't need to write the 1 again, just write the 2 on the bottom. And then a over a squared simplifies to a just on the bottom. And then the a plus 1's cancel, and then you just get a minus 1 at the top. Okay, and then these are like, so these problems are really not that bad. The hardest part is really just the factoring, and that's why we also spent so much time on factoring in Chapter 8. So yeah, so let's do this one. So you can take out a 2 here, and then you get 3n squared plus 4n plus 1. And here you can take out a 2 there, and then you get n squared minus 1. And since they're both the same, and like we don't need to keep, we can just cancel them for now. And then now we need to factor this. So now because there's a 3 in the front here, we should do our area model in diamond. So you put 3n squared here, 1 there, multiply them, get the same thing, then 4n here, and then 3n and n, multiply to 3n squared, and add up to 4n. And then you factor, so that's n 3n plus 1 plus 1. So then the top factor is to 3n plus 1, and then n plus 1. And then the n squared minus 1 is a difference of squares, so it's n plus 1, n minus 1. And then the n plus 1's cancel, and then you get 3n plus 1 over n minus 1. And that's it. Okay, here you can take out 5, and you get 9 minus w. Here you cannot take out anything, so then we need to use our diamond and area model. So 3w squared's here, 9's here, multiply them, you get 27w squared, negative 28w. So negative 27w and negative w multiply to positive 27w squared and add up to negative 28w. So you put those here. So that's w, 3w, and then minus 1, minus 9. So this factors to w minus 9 and 3w minus 1. Okay, no, there's no common binomials, but remember this. A minus b over b minus a simplifies to -1. So the 9 minus w over w minus 9, right, that becomes -1. And then you could just put the -1 either at the top and or bottom. Like it could be -5 over 3w minus 1, or it can be 5 over -3w minus 1. But it's tradition to put it at the top. So then that's -5 over 3w minus 1. Right, that becomes -1. Okay. So that was the first section, and then the second section is multiplying and dividing rational expressions. Really, it's just an added step of from simplifying. So, if you remember, multiplying and dividing, remember what rational expressions are, right? They're ratios of polynomial expressions. So they are basically they're fractions, right? So they use the same technique as you for multiplying and dividing fractions as you do with multiplying and dividing rational expressions. So multiplying fractions, right, like a over b times c over d, right? You multiply across. That's just ac over bd. And dividing rational expressions, a over b divided by c over d, right? Remember, you flip the last one, so that's a over b times d over c, and that becomes ad over bc. And that's all you do. You just multiply across, or you flip and then multiply across. So for this one, you can multiply across, so you get 6 times 10, which is 60. And then when you multiply, remember with the monomials, you add the exponents. So that's x to the 5th, since you have 2, 3. And then y to the 7th, since you have 3, 4. And then 2 times 18 is 36. And then you have x squared, and then y to the 4th. And then after that, you just simplify these. So 60 over 36, 12 goes into both of them, right? You want to pick the biggest number. So that's 5 and then 3. And then x to the 5th over x squared, right? That's, you subtract the exponents, that's x cubed. And then y to the 7th over y to the 4th, that's y cubed. And then there you go. Looks a little off balance, but you get it. With the numbers, you can either multiply across like that, or you can cross cancel. So, because the thing is, when you multiply across, like 60 over 36 is a lot harder to reduce than reduce them when they're smaller numbers. Like here you can reduce 2 and 10, and that's 5, right? And here you can do 6 and 18. Since it's bottom heavy, like 18's bigger on the bottom, then that's 3 here. So you can get your 5/3 that way. So let's try that technique this one. Instead of multiplying 15 and 12, let's reduce first. So 4 and 12, right, become 3 in the bottom, and then 5 and 15 become 3 on the bottom. So then you get 9 when you multiply those on the bottom, and then a squared, a to the a cubed is a to the 5th, b squared, b to the 6th, b to the 8th, and then a to the 4th is a to the 5th, and then b cubed, b to the 7th is b to the 10th. And then you just cancel anything, so the a to the 5ths completely cancel, and then the b, these ones you subtract, or like what I like to think sometimes, instead of doing that, you're like, okay, b to the 8th or b to the 10th, like who's winning, the top or the bottom? The bottom, right? Because b to the 10th is more. And so how much is it winning by? It's winning by 2. So then it's b squared. So it's 9b squared. And then since everything on the top canceled, then we just have 1. Okay. And then these ones you just keep factoring, and really, like, timesing them, like, it's the same thing. Like, all the stuff goes on the top anyway, so you really just have all this. So just factor everything and cancel anything that factors. So like this one, you can pull out a 4x, right, and you get x squared minus 1. And then here this factors to x plus 3, x minus 2. Here you can pull out a 2, and then you get x squared plus 2x minus 3. And here you can pull out a 4x, and you get x squared. Oops. You get an x plus 1. Okay, there's a couple more things that factor, right? This factors more and that factors more. So we'll factor that more. So you have 4x, and then this becomes x plus 1, x minus 1. And you still have x plus 3, x minus 2. And then this factors to x plus 3, x minus 1. Then you have 4x and x plus 1. Again, here's the fun part. Just cancel anything that are the same. So the x plus 3's cancel. The 4x's cancel. The x plus 1's cancel. The x minus 1's cancel. And then really all you have left is x minus 2 over 2. See, isn't that fun? Okay. So try this one on your own, and when you're ready, you can press play. Okay, so this one here, you can pull out a 5v, and then you get 2 minus v squared, or 2 minus v, apologize. And then this becomes v minus 9, v plus 1. So we did that and that. And then this is just 15v. And then this one factors to v minus 9 and v minus 2. Right, because negative 2, negative 9 add up to negative 11, multiply to positive 18. And then now you just cancel whatever cancels. So the v minus 9's cancel. The 5v and the 15v become 3 here on the bottom. And then remember, the 2 minus v and the v minus 2, those are opposites, so those cancel and turn into negative 1. So then you have negative v plus 1 over 3. That's it. Okay, and then the dividing is literally the same, except for you just need to flip the second one first. Okay, so we'll do that first. So you flip it, so that's step 1. So times, oh yes, to divide a rational expression, multiply by the reciprocal. Right, these are the steps, right? Multiply, monomials only, multiply together, then simplify. Or like I said, you can cross cancel first. And then for binomials, factor everything you can first, then simplify. So here, all you need to do is just multiply the reciprocal and then follow the same steps. So it's 8q to the 5th over 35p squared q squared. And then again, it's helpful to cross cancel first. Like, so 5 and 35 become 7, and then 8 and 16 become 2. So then that 2 and 7 become 14. So instead of reducing bigger numbers, right, it's easier to reduce like smaller numbers. Okay, and then p is on the top, and then it's q to the 6th, and then p third p squared, that's p to the 5th, and then q squared. Okay, and then just use the who's winning. So like p and p to the 5th is winning, right? And p to the 5th is on the bottom, and it's winning by 4. So p to the 4th is on the bottom. And then q to the 6th and q squared. Q to the 6th is winning. It's on top, and it's winning by 4. So q to the 4th. And that's it. Okay, here, so we need to multiply by the reciprocal first. So that's x squared plus x minus 6 over 2x squared plus 6x. Factor anything you can. So then that factors 4x minus 2. And then that factors to x plus 3, x minus 2. And then that factors 2x, x plus 3. And then just cancel anything that can. So x plus 3's cancel. The x minus 2's cancel. And then the 10 and the 2 become 5, and then that's it. So then you get 5 over, and then whatever's left. So you still have the 5 and the x on the bottom, and the 4x on the bottom. Okay, so here we go. Flip. Okay, well actually, this is what I do. I do it even quicker. So see if you can follow along with me because it saves room. So I'm just going to factor the top and bottom of here because I don't flip this one, right? So this factor 2a squared. I think you can follow along. So a minus 6. And the bottom here, right, is a minus 6, a plus 2, right? Negative 6 times 2 is negative 4. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4, and negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. And then, remember, this is going to go on top, so I'm going to factor and move it to the top at the same time, okay? So, this bottom one, right, factors to minus 5 minus 3. So, a minus 5, a minus 3. So, I know the bottom one is going to go on the top, so then I'm just going to factor it on the top. And then here, this top one I know is going to go on the bottom, so I'm just going to factor it on the bottom. So then you can take out an 8a squared, and then you get 3 minus a. Okay, and then that saves a lot more room if you factor and move at the same time. And then you just cancel whatever cancels. So the a minus 6's cancel, and then the 2 and the 8 become 4. The a squareds go away, and then the a minus 3 and the 3 minus a become negative 1. So then just like highlight kind of or circle what's left, like these things are left. So it's in this one. So it's negative a minus 5 for a plus 2. Okay, so stop and then try this one on your own, and when you're ready, come back. Okay, so this is a multiply and it's divide and multiply. So really, this is just, right, when you're dividing by just one thing, the reciprocal is just 1 over that. Then times 6k. So that's the setup, and then now you just factor whatever you can. So this doesn't factor, this doesn't factor, this doesn't factor, but this factors. This factors to 4k plus 1, 4k minus 1, because it's a difference of squares. And then a bunch of stuff cancels, right? The k plus 3's cancel, the 4k plus 1's cancel, so then you get 4k minus 1 over k. Those are the only things that's left. Alright, so thanks for watching. Hope you understood everything. See you next time.